President Trump at the White House with Philippine President Marcos in the Oval Office. He took questions from reporters where he continued his criticism of Fed Chair Jerome Powell, calling for the Fed to lower interest rates. He also said the DOJ should target former Presidents Obama and Biden. He blamed them for the 2016 Russia election interference investigation, alleging Obama administration officials manipulated intelligence to try and undermine the legitimacy of the election that year. The president did not have much to say about news out this morning that his deputy attorney general plans to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, associate for Jeffrey Epstein. She was convicted on sex trafficking charges. Let's bring in senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake to help us recap what we just heard. So, Garrett, first, we heard the president talk an awful lot about former President Obama there nearly a decade after the 2016 election. We should know there was a bipartisan Senate investigation that found Russia did meddle in the election. There was a 3-year special counsel investigation that found no criminal conspiracy by Obama administration officials. So help us understand what is going on here. Why are we suddenly hearing about this so much?
Yeah, Joe, viewers who just tuned in might have been confused to listen to the president and wonder perhaps what year this was taking place in. But the president has, after the surfacing of some documents by his director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, dived headlong back into some conspiracy theories about the 2016 and 2020 election results, which he has now linked together. He says by what he calls treasonous behavior by President Obama, something for which he provides no evidence. The basis of this seems to be documents that conflate really two different things. An acknowledgement by officials in the Obama White House between 2016 and 2020 that Russia did not attempt to tamper with vote totals, that is, physically manipulate the actual votes of Americans, a conflation of that with the idea that Russia somehow did not meddle in the election of 2016 at all, which, as you pointed out, a bipartisan Senate intelligence report signed off on by the current Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and that 3-year special counsel investigation all found. Why is the president talking about this now? It is possible because he believes this is the kind of thing that unites his base behind him, as it has for so many years in the past, at a time where that base is somewhat fractured over the Jeffrey Epstein story. Some very loyal Trump supporters remain frustrated with the way that the White House has handled the disclosure or non-disclosure of files related to Epstein. There's been action even today by the DOJ to try to get more information, in this case out of Epstein's alleged co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. None of it satisfying for elements of the base, including congressional Republicans who remain frustrated that the White House, they believe, is not being fully forthcoming about what it knows about Epstein. Joe?
So, Garrett, the reason we were actually hearing from the president today is because he's meeting with Philippines President Marcos as they try and reach some sort of trade agreement with that August deadline looming soon before tariffs go up. What do we know about the status between negotiations between America and the Philippines? How important is that trade relationship?
Well, the president says those negotiations are ongoing and credits President Marcos for being a tough negotiator. The Philippines are not a major American trading partner except for some commodities, but they are an important one geopolitically, in part because of their location in the South Pacific near China. They're important for their trade and defense relationships with the United States. You can see in the wider shots Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth sitting in on these conversations today. It's possible that those conversations will be related. I think it's also possible, Joe, we will see the president at some time, perhaps today or in the near future, release one of his letters, which he describes as a trade deal in which he unilaterally sets a tariff rate, particularly for some of these smaller trading partners of the United States.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.